All right, let's jump right in. We're going to unpack a really deep idea today, something that gets at the heart of what makes us human. It's all about this fundamental difference between how we come into the world and how, well, everything else does. It's a paradox that might just change the way you look at your own life.
You ever stop and think about this? A baby giraffe is on its feet minutes after being born. A spider knows how to spin a perfect web without a single lesson. But a human baby? Wow. We are completely and utterly helpless for years. So what's the deal with that? We're going to get to the bottom of that question, drawing from a source that has a pretty incredible answer.
So, this whole idea really comes down to a powerful contrast, a kind of paradox of perfection. It's a face-off between the animal kingdom and the human condition.
On one side, you've got the animal. The source says it's born in a state of perfection, totally programmed, ready to go, built for its purpose from day one. And on the other side, you've got us, humans. We show up totally incomplete, basically a blank slate, having to learn absolutely everything from scratch. This contrast, right here, is the key to this entire explainer.
All right, so let's dig into that first part, this idea of the world's perfected creatures. According to the source, animals are born in a state of completion that is frankly hard for us to even wrap our heads around.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The source uses this one specific word for this state, takamul. It basically means being created in direct perfection. The idea is that all non-human life comes into the world this way. They don't have to go looking for their purpose, they're born living it.
And the absolute poster child for takamul, the honeybee. Think about it. From the second it comes into being, its entire incredibly complex life is already preloaded. The engineering, the navigation, the social duties, it's all there. No school, no training, it just knows.
And just to give you a sense of what this pre-programmed genius looks like, get this. To make just 1 kilogram of honey, a single colony of bees has to fly a collective 240,000 kilometers. That's like flying around the entire planet 6 times. It's just staggering. And it's not a skill they develop, it's an innate, perfect system just doing its thing.
And it's not just about the honey. They're master architects building those flawless hexagons. They're living climate control systems, keeping the hive at exactly 35 degrees Celsius. They even navigate using a kind of vision we can't imagine, using ultraviolet light to find the perfect flowers in the perfect order. It's all part of the factory settings.
So how, right? How is all of this possible? Well, the source explains it with this idea that this knowledge isn't learned. It's not trial and error. It is directly revealed or inspired into the bee. It's a kind of built-in wisdom, a divinely coded instinct.
Okay, so we've got this picture of the perfect, ready-for-anything animal. Now, let's flip the coin and look in the mirror, because the source paints a very, very different picture of us when we're born.
And wow, does this timeline put things into perspective. That bee is ready to go in an instant. Us, it takes 2 years just to learn how to walk right. 15 years, a decade and a half to really get a handle on what's good for us versus what's dangerous. We spend our entire lives just learning. We never quite arrive at that perfected state.
So here's the crucial point. The source uses these 2 specific words to describe us at birth. Jahil, meaning ignorant, and ajiz, meaning helpless. But here's the twist, the pivot for this whole idea. This isn't a mistake. It's not a design flaw. It's a feature, an intentional one. So, if being born helpless and ignorant is a feature, then what's it for? Well, this gets us to the very core of the human experience. Our imperfection is precisely what gives us our purpose. We have a mission to grow. And how do we do that? Well, according to the source, our path to growth has 2 major parts. Step 1 is ilm, which means knowledge. This is our job, to learn, to discover, to start unearthing the massive potential that's buried inside of us. And step 2 is dua, or prayer. This is about recognizing our own helplessness, our ajiz, and asking for the strength and guidance we need to actually grow.
You know, to really make this idea stick, the source uses this beautiful metaphor. Just think about a tiny little seed. By itself, it doesn't look like much, right? But locked inside of it is the potential for an entire forest. The whole blueprint is in there.
And this is where that metaphor just explodes in scale. If a single seed holds the potential for a forest, the source argues that a single human being holds the potential for eternity. Our whole purpose in life isn't to be perfect from the get-go.
but to spend our lives trying to unlock that infinite capacity we have inside.
Okay, so this brings us to the final, and maybe the most critical part. Let's talk about the stakes. If our mission is to grow, what are the consequences of ignoring that mission? The source actually frames this as the greatest waste imaginable.
When we just get stuck on autopilot, just working, eating, sleeping, rinse and repeat, the source says we're basically living like those animals we talked about. We're just fulfilling a simple, preset function and totally ignoring the incredible, infinite potential that actually makes us human.
And this leads to this really powerful concept of israf. It means wastefulness. We usually think of wasting food or money or time, but the source makes this claim that the greatest tragedy, the biggest waste of all, is letting that boundless human potential just sit there, completely untapped. And the analogy the source uses for this is it's perfect, it's unforgettable. Imagine having a champion racehorse, an animal bred for incredible speed and power, and using it to pull a cart of milk. It's such a profound misuse of what that creature is capable of. And that, the source says, is exactly what we're doing when we use our infinite potential for purely finite worldly tasks. So, when you put it all together, this whole explainer isn't really about animals at all, is it? It's about us. It reframes our struggles, our ignorance, our whole lifelong journey, not as some kind of flaw, but as this grand, incredible opportunity. And it leaves us with one heck of a question to think about. What potential are you here to unlock?